Kimi Esther. Jam futur disa minuta përpara dhe po pres. Sa të shkoj ora, edhe 1 minutë dhe do nisim. Perfect. Okay. Besoj se do nisim në orën 10:30, domethënë as 1 minutë, ndërkohë merr ndonjë pije, rato, unë kam ujin këtu, materialet, që do të thot petalet, diçka për t'i dhënë formë, so mundohem të mendoj në shqip tani, për t'i dhënë formë petaleve dhe pastaj këtë ngjitsin. Unë po përdor hot glue, nuk e dia ke hot glue, por që është ajo që unë rekomandoj. Okay, I'm gonna switch back to English now. It is 10:30. So I'm gonna do just a little intro since I'm going to repost this. And basically today we'll be making a paper rose. The paper rose is going to be 8 inches. It's going to look like this when we are done. And I predict that the workshop itself is going to last about an hour and a half. We might go over a little bit. It might be less than an hour and a half. It kind of depends how everything goes, if there's any questions and stuff. But either way, if you do have to leave, don't worry, as I will be reposting this and you will have access to this live, to this workshop on my Facebook page, on this Facebook page. So, bear with me as I flip the camera over so that you guys have an actual view of my desk. So, let me unplug this and then I will take you guys up here. Can I flip? Yep, perfect. So, as you can see, I have pre-cut everything. Mount this. So we will be using, for the bud, we will be using 4 of the small bud petals and then 1 of the slightly bigger bud. This is still part of the bud. Then we're going to use the small petals, we're going to use 10 of them, and then the big petals we're going to use 16. As for the base, you should have noticed that there are 2 options. You can either do the circle as a base or you can do the hexagon. I personally like using the hexagon because it just allows me to, you know, evenly distribute the petals all around and not have to like calculate it. But if you want to have more of a freestyle, then go ahead and use the circle. It really is up to you. So we're going to start by shaping our petals. Now, as far as the materials, one more thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm using 65-pound cardstock or 176 GSM. That's the thickness of the paper. And I'm using today this beautiful bubblegum pink color. This is from Michael's, my local craft store. This rose can be made with other types of paper as well, but this is just what I prefer. I find that it is not too thick and not too thin, all right? So we're gonna start with the bud. We're gonna use our shaping tool. I'm using a wooden dowel. You can also use a marker, a bone folder, and we're going to slide so that we can curve the petals upward, like so. So I'm using my index finger in the bottom, and of course my shaping tool, the wooden dowel, on the top, and I am applying a little bit of pressure, but not too much so that it's stuck. A little bit of pressure, and then sort of guiding it with my hand, okay? Then once I get all of the sides, I'm gonna do the same for this other side, and I like to flip the petal layer in this case, and do it like so. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as we have, in the end, both sides of each petal curved upward, right? So once we do this, we're going to repeat the same for all the other shapes. Now, because I'm using 65-pound cardstock, I am able to double up my petals and shape them. If you are using thinner paper, you might be able to even do 3 or 4 at a time. If you're using thicker paper, you are probably not going to be able to double up. So it really depends. But again, with our shaping tool, and also the movement of your hand is how you will shape the petals, the buds. And then you can also do this to further curl your petals. Okay. Like so. Then we're going to do the same thing with the bud, but this is slightly bigger. It's like a transitional bud petal. It's going to be on the outside of the bud. Okay. So once we have the bud, I'm going to set everything aside, and I'm going to continue with shaping the petals. And again, I'm going to stack them 2 at a time, hold it in the center, and then with my shaping tool, slide and curl, slide and curl. And then same thing on the other side. I might even be able to do it with 3 petals, stacking 3 petals. Just have to use a little bit more elbow grease, like so. And when making paper flowers, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can use different papers. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 65-pound cardstock, though that is what I prefer. I know that you guys are from different countries, from all around the world, so it depends sometimes on what is available to you. So it's fine if it's not exactly 65-pound cardstock, but maybe somewhere around there. One thing though that I am very firm when it comes to making paper flowers is that I want my paper to be solid core, which means that the inside of the paper is the same color as the outside of the paper. You will sometimes find white core cardstock, which has basically whatever color is on the outside, but then the inside is white. And when making paper flowers, we don't want that because of the way that we use paper, right? You see the edges, and to me, it kind of compromises the look of your paper flowers. So definitely look for solid core cardstock when making paper flowers. When you're doing other paper crafts where, you know, you're like stacking the paper, not necessarily using petals, 3D petals, in that case you'll be fine. But specifically when making paper flowers, I like to use solid core. One thing, as you are curling your petals, make sure that you turn on your hot glue so that it warms up and then it's ready to be used. Okay. So as you can see, I'm stacking 3 petals at a time. I'm holding it down here in the center, in the bottom, and then using my shaping tool, I'm curling the petals. So easy peasy. And the last one. Okay. And there we go. First step is done. The first step was to curl and to shape all of our elements, meaning the petals and then the bud petals, which are going to form like the center, like this part. Next, what I like to do is start by shaping, further shaping, giving it that 3D look to the petals. So when you are doing that, you're going to use this, basically the slit here is going to be what's going to help you do that, achieve that look. So you're going to overlap the 2 sides of the petals just slightly. You do not need to overlap them too much, but you're going to slightly overlap them. And of course, using the glue is what's going to keep the petal. It may seem like it's not doing much, but once you have the flower, once you have basically the finished flower, you will see that it does make a difference. All right, so I'm going to add a small dot of glue on one side here, on this like flap. And of course, as always, I like to remind you guys that if you're using hot glue, be careful because it can burn you. So a little dot of glue, and then I overlap one side on top of the other, and that's that. So this is how we are going to shape all the petals. Notice how the curve, it's curving outward, okay, like so. So we don't want to curve like this with the petals coming in, but we want the curve, the curl of the petal to be outward and away from us. All right, so we're going to repeat the same thing for all the petals. Again, notice how I'm very slightly overlapping the 2 sides. Actually, I'm going to turn it like this, that way it's easier. And this is, unfortunately, you cannot do two petals at the same time, but luckily with the hot glue, it dries very fast, so it allows you to work fast. So if you guys have any questions as I'm going along, feel free to chime in, ask questions. And then if you are rewatching this, or if you are simply observing right now and are going to make the flower later, and as you do so questions come up, please feel free to message me either on this group or on Instagram, via my email. I'm happy to help. But yeah, I created this group specifically so that, you know, because on my Instagram page, sometimes messages can get lost in the DMs. It's so easy for messages to get buried in there. And then the lives, when they're like public, is kind of, it can get a little bit chaotic. But in this group, in this specific Facebook group that I created, it will be a lot easier for me to communicate with you. It will be easier for you to reach out to me. So it's a way for me to be more accessible to you, basically. So I'm very happy that you are here. and I can't wait to see all of the beautiful roses that you guys will be creating. Okay, I have my small petals done, and now I'm moving on to the bigger petals. Still the same thing, the same technique, adding some glue and then overlapping slightly. Now you can use other types of glue, because I know I'm aware that hot glue is not accessible, it's not available in every country, unfortunately. But if you can find hot glue, I highly recommend it, because for paper flowers, it truly makes a big difference when you are just gluing something and then moving on. There's so many elements, right? There's so many parts that you need to prep and shape. So if I were to use, let's say, my craft glue, then I would have to just sit here and wait for a minute after I glue each petal, and it would just be a lot more time consuming. So and another thing that I love about hot glue is that a little bit goes a long way. So you don't need a whole lot. Okay. So yeah, I like to get this part out of the way, and then in the end, we're going to just build our flower after we do the bud. After I finish this, we're going to work on building the bud, and then after that it's going to be super easy because our petals will be ready. They're already prepped. So almost there. Alright, so we are good to go. We have prepped all of our petals. Now we need to form the bud. So I'm going to set these aside for now, and the base as well. And I'm just going to focus on creating the bud. So make sure that your petals, that the petals of the bud are curled, right, upward like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring together the two opposite sides. And it's going to be kind of like they are, think of it kind of like they're giving each other a hug, right? So one side is going to go in, the other side is going to go out, and they're kind of going to keep curling, right? Now I'm bringing this up here just to show you guys up close, but it is actually a little bit hard to do it like without any support. So definitely do it like on a surface, right? So it's a lot easier. So again, I'm going to bring the two sides together like so, and then I'm going to use my fingers to encourage this side to curl, and then this side to continue to curl as much as possible. I want basically this circle here to be as small as possible. So I'm just going to keep going and going. It also helps to have like a bird's eye view. So you should be looking from the top, right? so that you can actually see like how close you are bringing the petals. But once you have it, let me try to bring it in again. Once you have it like so, then what you're going to do is secure the petals, right? So I'm holding it up here with my thumb because I let go of this side so that I can open it up, add some glue, and then put it back down. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing for this side. So I hold it, I put some pressure with my thumb up here, and so that I can let go, but the petals will not like unfurl. They will stay the way I have them. Then I add my glue. And that's that. This is the beginning of our journey of building the bud. Now, I'm going to repeat essentially the same thing. I think the first one is maybe the most challenging one. If it is your first time making a paper rose, don't worry, it's not going to be perfect the very first time, but just know that the more you practice, the easier it gets. So now I'm going to repeat, like I said, the same thing here, and I'm still going to bring them pretty close, right, as you can see, but I don't want this to touch the previous bud. I don't want it to be like super tight. I want there to be a little bit of space, but I mean just a little bit of space. You're still gonna eyeball it, see where it looks good, like right there. For me it's perfect. Okay, so once I have it where I want it, I'm going to use my fingers to secure the position, and then open the flaps a little bit here so that I can add some glue. And then secure it. Now, also keep in mind, this is a flower, and nothing is super symmetrical when you're making a flower, right? There's always imperfections, so keep that in mind. You're creating kind of like an organic shape, so imperfections are perfectly normal. All right, so now that I have my first layer done, I'm going to place that inside basically of the second layer, and so on and so forth. Continue with the same technique. I'm going to add a dot of glue to it, and then place it so that it's secured. Now, another thing that you need to be mindful of here is notice on which side you ended up the bud. So the last two sides that we brought together were this one and this one, right? You can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the opposite side. So I will start with these sides so that we alternate the placement of the bud petals. So I like to bring in the petals first, kind of decide like how much space there's going to be in between. And once I have an idea, once I like the look of it, so this is good for me, there's a little bit more space than earlier, but it's still pretty tight, right? This is how I like it. So once I have that, then and then I'm going to add my glue. So in this case, I am kind of comfortable to let go of the bud petals. I add a little bit of glue on each side because I know this is going to be on the inside. Then I bring them in together like so. And there we go. Our bud is taking shape. Then I'm going to go in on this side. Same thing. You can also depending on, you're gonna find your style, but you could also add the glue on the inside of one of the petals. And then bring it in. So there are many ways that you can build this. The most important thing is notice, try to alternate the placement and how you're bringing together each side of the bud. All right, so this is 2. We're going to continue with 2 more, and then we have the slightly bigger one. Again, adding some glue in the bottom. Make sure it's centered, and then since the last 2 petals that I brought together were this one and this one, I'm going to now do the opposite. Now, with every time you bring in the petals, right, you want to kind of mimic the bud opening up gradually. So I'm gonna start to create a little bit more space. I'm not gonna do this. If I do this, then you can really barely see it. But now I'm going to create a little bit more space between this layer and this layer, okay? So because I'm doing that, the petals are not hugging each other anymore. They're kind of gonna have a bit more distance. So each one needs to have its own glue dots. There we go. And again, this is why it helps to have a bird's eye view of your flower, of the petal, or the bud petals, because you want to see how much space there is and how it's coming together. Okay. Perfect. And then if you're working with hot glue, you will notice there are these strings. So it's my least favorite thing about the hot glue, but you can, in the end, you can use a little bit of your blow dryer, set it on warm, and just go a little bit on the flower, and they will sort of melt off. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to have it on hot and have it on there for too much, because then the glue will start to melt and your petals will sort of come undone, so to speak. But just a little bit to get those spider web looking strings that are just hanging off your flower. Okay. And as I mentioned, I do have the option to bring you guys on video. So if you want to show me your work, or if you have any questions and you want to show me how do I do this, or this is what I have, how do I fix it, how do I make it look a different way, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Or if you prefer, you can send me a message, whether it's here or on Instagram. And I will help you out. Okay, so you can see I'm creating a lot more space now. While still keeping that round, overall round shape. Okay. As you can see, our bud is looking pretty. So now we have the very last part, the very last bud piece. This is a little bit bigger, just to create the transition between like the small petals to these like bigger petals. So that's the only difference between this and this. We're still going to continue with the same technique, so I'm adding some glue in the bottom, making sure it's like centered. Okay. And then the last ones that I did were these two, so now I'm going to continue on this side. Now for these, I like to add the glue down here. Because it's like a transitional piece, I sort of want it to be almost like half open. So by adding the glue down here, I can bring the petal, still attach it to the bud, but the top of it will be like open, right? You could even have actually attached this the other way so that the petals are like curling out. And actually, I think I'm going to do that because I do like that style. So I'm curling the petals basically the opposite side because I do think that looks prettier. Because I think both ways look pretty. It's just a different look. So it's up to you if you want to do this or not, but I'm going to go for it. So again, these were the last two. I'm going to go on this side now, and instead of adding the glue up here like I have been doing, now I'm going to add 2 dots down here towards the base of the petal, and then I bring it in. Hold it down a bit. Here you want to hold it down a bit just to make sure the petal is fully attached in the bottom, of course, because there's a lot of like, I don't know, there's a lot of pressure, I guess. It tends to detach a lot easier. So even though the glue dries pretty fast, I still want to make sure that it's on there. So yeah, that's pretty, right? I love that. We're going to repeat the same thing. Just 2 small dots in the end or bottom, and then bring it in, sort of like halfway. Allow the glue to fully dry. And there we go. So I'm repeating the same thing. Last one. Here. And there it is. Now, I'm still going to attach a few more components to the bud. Technically, we're done. But I'm going to use 4, yeah. So I'm going to use 4 of the small petals. And they will act sort of like, again, like that transitional bud. But now I'm going to add the small petals to the corners. If you notice, the the bud right now, it has like a boxy vibe, a boxy look to it, which of course is not going to be as visible once it's on the flower, but I still want to sort of break away from that. And a way to do that is by attaching the petals on the corners. So instead of me going here and here and here, which you totally can, I think that looks also very pretty, but that's not the look that I created right now. Today I'm creating this like other look, which is a bit more, I don't know, circular, I guess. I don't know what the word would be. So again, I'm going to attach the petals to the corners of each of the bud, right? So I'm going to add some glue here to do that. Like so. And then repeat the same thing. I like to go across here. Okay, this is what we have. Then I'm going to do these two. Okay, and then this last one here. And there we go. And I literally just attach these to the bottom, like so. Now, if you wanted to, you could also attach the petals like we did with the previous layer, right? Add some glue to the bottom and then attach it so that the petals will be a little bit more upright. You could also leave it the way it is if you want a more open look. I am gonna wait. I want to see how the flower is built, and then I'm gonna decide in the end if I'm gonna bring this up a bit or if I'm gonna let them the way they are. You know, with handmade flowers, each one is unique. Each one is like one of a kind because they are handmade. Each element is handmade. So that's why there's always like small tweaks, small variations with every flower that I make. All right, so I'm setting the bud aside right now, and I'm gonna start to build my flower. So again, using the hexagon, or if you prefer, you can use the circle as a base. Both are included in the template. I'm gonna start by adding some glue to the bottom, and I like to add, for the first petal only, I like to add glue only on the left side, and I'll tell you why. It's so that when I do my last petal, if it needs to, it can go underneath a bit, underneath this first one. All the petals are going to overlap a bit, right? And so I don't want the first petal to be buried and have, you know what I mean? Have only petals that go on top of it. I want them to have one side that goes up and then one side that goes down. So as you build your flower, or as you're watching me build a flower, you will understand what I mean. But as you can see, I put glue all the way across the base of this petal because it's the second one. I place it in. You want to bring it in just slightly, not too much. And you can see that they're overlapping, right? So that is fine. You are using the hexagon as your guide. I'm just going to spread these out. so I can just pick them up more easily. Okay. It looks like I need to add more glue to my glue gun, so let me do that. A glue stick. Come on, get in there. There we go. It's coming together. And then, so the last petal for this layer is going to go under the first petal that I placed. So that's why it made sense to have this petal only attached on one side. And now we can go in and close it in. But now it's going to go on top. It goes on top of this one. Okay? So layer 1 is done. Woohoo! Now, using the same size petals, so the bigger petals, let me have a sip of water, we're going to continue with the second layer. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in just to show you guys, because I actually have two different versions using the same, here I'll put them like this, using the same template. I sort of use two different techniques, and I'll talk more about it, but right now I just want you to notice the first layer, the bottom layer, and then the second layer. Here I brought in the second layer a little bit closer to the center, and then here I literally put the second layer on top, or like in between, but literally on top of the first layer. So this one makes the rose look a little bit smaller but like fuller, especially as a side view, versus this makes the rose look bigger but a bit more flat. So let me show you the differences. Right, same template, just two different styles. Today I'm going to show you guys this style, which is one of my favorites, I think, because it makes the flower look lush and just it has a lot of like depth. So let me show you. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to add for the first petal only. I'm going to add glue on one side of it, the left side. Then I'm going to place it on top, but alternating the placement, right? So I'm not really bringing the petal closer to the center. It's still at this on the same like position. The only thing is that I'm alternating the position or the placement of the petals as compared to the first layer, like so. Okay. And so we did 8 petals for the first layer, and I'm going to continue to do 8 more petals for the second layer. Yeah, it's fun. I always love building my flowers in a slightly different way. I love playing around with, because you change little things and it really makes a big impact on the final look of the flower. So I love creating different variations, and then of course people have different preferences, so I love showing you guys different ways to make flowers, or roses in this case, with the same template. Okay. So now I'm going to go in and close this, lock it in place, like so. And now we have 2 layers. All right. Next, we're almost there. Actually, we are doing really well with timing. It is, what is it? 11:14. So we're 45 minutes in. Yeah, so this is gonna take less than an hour and a half. So that's good. So for this one, I am going to, well, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to continue again on the same same placement, just alternating the petals. These are slightly smaller, but same technique. And I can't wait to show you guys because I'm working on a two-tone, actually three-tone, I should say, version of this rose, where I'm using red, white, and blue, which I'm going to use it as a reminder for you guys. You can use multiple colors. You could do a rainbow. I know I've done them in the past, rainbow rose. I've played around with different shades of pink. That was very pretty as well. So you can really let your creativity blossom. This one. All right, so based on what this looks like, I think I'm just going to leave the petals as they are. Again, you have the option to bring them in a bit more, so have this like bud be a bit more tight, but just based on the way that I built this flower, I think that this will be perfect. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm gonna add a generous amount of glue here because I really want to secure the bud right onto the flower. And again, try to have like a bird's eye view. This is very important because, especially right now, because this is essentially the center of your flower. So you want to make sure that flower is centered. And I'm holding it down like gently because I don't want to mess up the bud, right? But also firmly. You might help if you pick up the flower and you actually gently like apply some pressure here to make sure that the glue adheres as best as possible. And here we are. Your rose is ready. Voila. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we are done. But yeah, this is how you will make your paper flower, your rose flower, or your paper rose. And as you can see, there are many different ways, like there's different variations. Like here, for example, what I did is I just I created a crease on the petals. Literally, and I did this basically after I built my flower. I simply pushed down the petals to create this more open flower. For this one, what did I do for this one that's different? I can't remember what I did for this one, honestly. But it's just, I think I just put the petals, I spread the petals out a bit more. So I didn't come in as close to the center, but I kept them out. This is pretty much what I did today. Another thing that you can do is you can have these petals, the bottom layer, even more open. But I think I love the way of this rose. I think this is pretty. Again, I just want to show you guys what you can do. So I'm just going to crease maybe just the bottom layer. So literally I just go in and I open up the center, like the very center of the petal, like so. And I crease that crease, and it makes the flower more voluminous, more open, like that. And you can continue to do that for all of the petals like I did here, or you can just leave it as is. All right, thanks guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this live workshop. If you have any questions, if you have any, I don't know, any remarks, anything at all, please reach out. Oh, I forgot to show you guys my white rose. This is also very pretty. And yeah, I will see you guys in another live. Thanks again and have a wonderful weekend. Happy crafting.